What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we've got some brand spanking new Destiny 2 news, courtesy of the Bungie weekly update that has just gone live, revealing official information. And guys, today's update is absolutely massive, so make sure you got a comfortable place to sit, maybe a snack and a drink, because we're gonna be here for a while. And so, let's get started. Now, first things first, what happened this week with Destiny 2? Well, actually quite a bit. Firstly, and I would say most importantly, I put out my Destiny 2 meme review video, which was a colossal success. I'm just kidding, it bombed. I just want to say thank you to those of you who did show up. I had a ton of fun making it. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. But I also want to say, you guys made so much fun of me. Someone said I look like Bucky Beaver. Some other guy said I smile like a bunny. Yeah, my mustache is too long, bro. That's what it is. You guys bullied me. I'm getting a haircut. I'm going to get a haircut right now. You guys bullied me into getting a haircut. Damn. Anyways, guys, cyberbullying aside, let's talk about what else happened this week. On Tuesday, it was the massive developer livestream officially unveiling both episode Revenant and also talking about some massive changes coming in Destiny 2 Frontiers. If you want to know everything that happened within that livestream, definitely check my video on the subject linked right up above. But another thing that happened on that Tuesday and kind of part of that stream was that Bungie officially unveiled how they're going to completely overhaul the armor system coming with Frontiers. So we are getting like armor types. We can now go above 100 of a certain stat for extra bonuses. There's going to be set bonuses for armor, some crazy changes. Again, if you want to know all that stuff, definitely check my video linked right up above. Moving on from there, guys, on Wednesday, yesterday, a bunch of videos came out. There was an early access event where people could preview the new exotics for Revenant. And I did do a video going over all of those revealed exotics that is linked again right up above. But moving on from there to the brand new information within the TWAB. First of all, Bungie recaps exactly what I just recapped, and then they talk about the new seasonal artifact perks. So a lot of these came out already within the live stream and then on Wednesday. So I'm just going to be showing you guys all the different perks here, but we're not going to be reading every single one of them. So first of all, we have row 1, and to call out some big ones here, guys, you know, one with frost, wind chill, armor of Aramis, and brain freeze. Every single one of those affects stasis. They have to do with frost armor, freezing. Like, stasis is featured to the 10th degree next season, so definitely get your stasis builds and your prismatic builds that feature stasis and your stasis weapons ready to go. Moving on from there, row 2 shown right here. Definitely you can see in column 5 Supernova, picking up a void breach causes your next source of void damage to create a large weakening pulse. That is incredibly powerful. It's very easy to spawn void breaches even in prismatic, and then once you pick it up, your next shot, and it sounds like it's going to be an area of effect, will just weaken what you shoot. Weaken is super powerful, and gaining access to it that easily is very good. After that, next row here, and you can see the different options here. To shout out again, column 5, your arc abilities, void abilities, and weapons with a certain origin trait do bonus damage to targets that are affected by a stasis debuff. Now, the important thing is, again, arc and void abilities. So that means Nova Bomb, baby, as well as Twilight Arsenal for the Titan. So someone just throws a dust field grenade at a boss and then your Nova Bomb does more damage. That's pretty darn good. Next up, we have the 4th row of perks right here, and I need to draw your attention to column 4 with Concussive Reload. This is going to be one of the most meta-defining perks for the entirety of the season. It says using a grenade launcher to damage a boss, damage a champion, or break a combatant shield weakens them. And then it has a boost where using grenade launchers to damage bosses, champions, or break combatant shield reloads stowed weapons. First of all, what the heck is that boost? Well, in episode Revenant, you can craft and use tonics, as you can see, that will actually improve your seasonal artifact perks and give them these boosts. Now, This seasonal artifact perk is so good because it's basically Breach and Clear from back in the day. If there's any OGs watching, you know how powerful it was when your Wither Horde would cause constant weaken on certain targets. Like, it is just so unbelievably powerful to not have to use, you know, a tether or whatever to cause a weaken effect. You just shoot them with your grenade launcher and they're going to be weakened. So definitely, guys, grenade launchers are going to be huge next season. And finally, we have the 5th row right here, and I want to draw your attention to column 5, kinetic impacts. Sustained damage with a power grenade launcher causes the combatant to emit a shockwave that damages nearby combatants. So if the shockwave damages the initial target as well, that's just even more damage, because remember, you're already using a power grenade launcher because it weakens the boss you're shooting at as well. So again, grenade launchers next season are gonna be insane. Moving on from there, guys, let's talk about exotic armor tuning for Revenant. So we got some big buffs and nerfs here. First of all, for the lucky pants. So they say it's been one of the more complicated exotic armor pieces, and it has been incredibly powerful at times, so it's getting kind of reworked. So first off, it now provides movement bonuses, including increased slide distance and sprint speed when a hand cannon is equipped. Airborne effectiveness bonus is active whether a hand cannon is equipped, not just when the illegally modded holster buff is active. No longer requires the hand cannon to be matched to the super damage type or kinetic to receive the PvE damage buff. Okay, out of luck cooldown will only trigger if you reach 7 stacks of the PvE damage buff before swapping off of the weapon or time expires. Maximum damage has been decreased from 600% down to 450%. So definitely some buffs in terms of usability to offset that pretty big nerf. Like, you are losing a lot of damage, but 450% more damage is still a substantial number. We're going to have to wait and see how this plays out in game, but definitely you're not going to be hitting as hard with the lucky pants. Moving on from there, guys, the young Ahamkara's spine. So it once again provides ability energy on trip mine grenade hits instead of final blows. It provides 33% grenade energy in PvE and 8% in PvP. Alright, for the Blight Ranger, they've added the ability to cancel your Arc Staff super while equipped, damaging and blinding nearby enemies and granting a tier 4 arc weapon damage boost. The damage dealt by this effect scales based on the number of projectiles reflected prior to canceling. No longer creates orbs of power when reflecting projectiles with Arc Staff. Reflecting projectiles now instead directly refunds super energy, extending the duration of your super. Alright, that's kind of interesting. Next up, we have the Raiju's Harness. So they fully reworked the behavior of its exotic trait, Mobius Conduit, inspired by its lore tab. So activating Gathering Storm calls down lightning on all nearby targets, jolting them while also amplifying allies. Defeating arc debuffed targets grants a small amount of Gathering Storm energy. Alright, well, anytime an exotic is reworked, it's worth trying out in-game to see how good it is. Moving on from there, Essentialism. So they say the Prismatic Hunters have had access to a lot of stacking melee damage bonuses, all of which compounded with each other, leading to some out-of-band melee damage. So for Spirit of the Syntheseps, they've reduced the melee damage bonus provided when both Biotic Enhancements and Stylish Executioner are active by 50%. So definitely Spirit of Synthos, kind of a big nerf there, but if you have Spirit of Caliban or something else, you're still good to go. Moving on from there for the Titan, guys. The Icefall Mantle, a lot of changes here. So you now gain a stack of Frost Armor for rapid stasis final blows. Each time you gain a stack of Frost Armor from any source, you will heal for a small amount. The unique class ability granted by Icefall Mantle now provides the maximum stacks of Frost Armor instead of its custom Overshield. you will also immediately heal from each stack that gets added. It will no longer prevent sprinting or jumping abilities, and now it works when Thruster is equipped. Class ability energy now begins to recharge immediately after using Icefall Mantle's class ability. The burst of stasis energy from the class ability now freezes combatants and slows players, no longer provides bonus stasis weapon damage, and now requires a stasis super to be equipped to benefit from its exotic effects. Wow, that is super interesting. Again, this exotic has been fully reworked. You're not going to have that slow down massive overshield. Now you're just going to get like max stacks of frost armor and healing every time you get frost armor. You could easily build into that to make that a ton of survivability. Very interesting. Then you have the Camdis Ridge Ice Cap. They've removed the stasis weapon requirement. Now any final blows or rapid precision hits while behind a rally barricade and with a stasis super equipped will create a diamond lance near you. Directly hitting any powerful combatant with a diamond lance will now create 3 stasis crystals. Previously only bosses and vehicles would create additional crystals. Then for the Ursa Furiosa and the Spirit of the Bear. So they've increased the maximum super energy gained from Unbreakable and PvE from 15% to 20%, and then they fixed an issue where you were gaining more super energy from Unbreakable in PvP than intended, now provides a maximum of 10%. Then for the Cuirass of the Falling Star. They say they would like Cuirass to feel less required to make Thundercrash viable, so the melee final blows, while amplified, now grant super energy. They've reduced the damage bonus from Cuirass to Thundercrash from 2 times to 1.55 times. This keeps the overall damage similar to what it was previously because they're buffing Thundercrash, I guess, and they've replaced the overshield after impact with damage resistance, 50% in PvE, 10% in PvP. Now, for the Peacekeepers, dealing damage to combatants with an SMG increases SMG damage for a short time, maximum of 20 stacks, 100% bonus damage, lasts for 1 second. Each hit adds a stack and refreshes the timer. Mask of the Quiet One. Rapid final blows and final blows while at critical health now grant Devour. This effect requires a Void super to be equipped. That's actually crazy. Like, giving Titans that easy of a way to get Devour. The big thing before was that Mask of the Quiet One needed you to be hurt. It needed you to be low health. Now just any rapid final blows give you Devour. That could actually be pretty good. Now for the Stoicism guys, they said they felt that limiting Spirit of the Horn, Alpha Lupi, and Hoarfrost effects didn't really work out. So for Spirit of the Horn, activating Thruster leaves behind a ball of solar energy, exploding and applying Scorch to enemies caught in the blast. Then Spirit of the Alpha Lupi, activating Thruster heals you and nearby allies. And then Spirit of the Hoarfrost, activating Thruster spawns a pair of stasis crystals. So just all those things will work with Thruster. Now moving on to the Warlock. For the Battlegrounds Wraithweavers, adjusted the Hearts of the Ice perk to increase the shatter damage of targets frozen by the Shadebinder super projectiles by 100%, regardless of who breaks them out. And they added granting frost armor to your allies with Frost Pulse or Winter's Wrath grants you super energy as text, and it ranges in potency based on how many allies it is granted to. So now you're going to be getting your super more often, and that super is more effective. Then for the Skull of Dire Ahamkara, added, quote, weapon defeats while Devour is active grants super energy, and it ranges from 1% to 4.5% depending on the target type defeated. That's actually kind of interesting. Then for Sanguine Alchemy, it now marks targets you damage while standing in a rift. You deal 10% extra damage from any source against marked targets. Now provides Surge ×4 to weapons that match your super damage. That again could be really interesting for like DPS. If that 10% stacks with other buffs, like that could be kind of crazy. Then for Verity's Brow and Spirit of Verity, the first stack of death throws now provides plus 40% grenade damage in PvE, up from 20%, and each additional stack now provides plus 15% grenade damage up to a max stack of plus 100% at 5 stacks. PvP bonus damage is unchanged. Then for the Cenotaph Mask, damaging a vehicle, boss, or champion with a trace rifle will only again visually mark the target for the player using Cenotaph. For the Osmianti Gloves, they've reduced the increased seeker distance and speed by 50%. Then for the Speaker's Sight, oh boy, 6 instances of healing a damaged ally in the Crucible will spawn an Orb of Power. So they actually did make it finally spawn orbs. No nerfs. I'm actually surprised by that because that thing is incredibly powerful. Then for the Super Damage Exotic Tuning. So they say with Revenant, we're taking a pass at balancing potential damage outputs for one-shot super abilities, and they provide this like handy text right here. So Cuirass plus Thunder Crash is unchanged. They nerfed Cuirass, but they buffed Thunder Crash. There you go. Pyrogale plus Burning Maul, that's actually up plus 10%. So Spirit of Star Eater plus Nova Bomb, down 12%. Spirit of Star Eater plus Twilight Arsenal, down 26%. Spirit of Star Eater plus Needle Storm, that's unchanged. Star Eater plus Gathering Storm, that's unchanged. Celestial Nighthawk plus Golden Gun, down 5% for bosses only. But moving on from there, we have still more with weapon tuning and new mods for Revenant. So for weapon archetypes, auto rifles, scout rifles, pulse rifles, submachine guns, sidearms, and hand cannons, they've rebalanced how PvE damage is dealt to slightly prioritize critical hits. So they've increased critical hit damage by between 5% to 7% depending on frame, and they've decreased body shot damage between 5% and 7% depending on frame. So moving on from there, for pulse rifles, and specifically the heavy burst pulse rifles, which includes Graviton and Revision 0, they've increased the RPM from 300 to 324, and they've decreased damage in PvE by 18% for legendary weapons in the subfamily. The Graviton and Revision were reduced only by 8%. So they're going to be shooting faster, but they're going to be doing less damage. And the result is that this ends up granting a faster time to kill in PvP while reducing their DPS by approximately 10% in PvE. Moving on from there, for sniper rifles, they reduced the flinch against combatants by 50%, they've reduced camera roll against players by 10%, and they've increased damage against minors 60%, majors 75%, mini-bosses 35%, champions 25%. These are massive buffs. I mean, like 25% more damage against champions, 35% more damage against mini-bosses. Snipers are going to be kind of cranking. Next up, for glaives, they've corrected an issue where perks that change the magazine size could sometimes display incorrect preview values. For shotguns, the minimum damage after falloff has been increased from 0% to 40% for damage versus AI only. So you are never going to hit for 0 damage with shotguns. You're always going to hit for 40%. Is that what I'm reading right? That's actually kind of crazy. Then for rocket-assisted sidearms, they've reduced reserve ammo by 25%. I mean, they were pretty nuts. This isn't touching the damage or anything like that, but yeah, you're going to definitely need to put on some special ammo, finders, and scavengers now. After that, trace rifles. They've increased the base spawn and crate PvP ammo from 25 to 29. For machine guns, for high impact machine guns, they've increased the critical hit damage by 4%. Then for heavy ammo grenade launchers, this is a big one because again, grenade launchers are featured next season. So they've decreased damage from the detonation by 5% against combatants. Increased projectile impact damage correspondingly globally. In PvE, total damage is the same, just split differently between detonation and impact. In PvP, heavy GLs now deal approximately 7% and 26% more impact damage depending on the blast radius stat. And rapid fires, they've increased the rapid fire frame impact and detonation damage by 7%. That's crazy because again, they're going to be cracked next season. Now, after that, guys, they have some PvP weapon micro-tuning, and I'm just going to put these on screen, not go over literally all of them. You can pause and read if you want to, but they're just incredibly slight changes that will, like, maybe increase the body shot time to kill or decrease it or require one less headshot, one less resilience to kill, stuff like that. But moving on from there, we get to exotic weapon buffs and nerfs. So, First of all, Choir of One, incredibly hot. Here's what they're doing. Reduced base reserves from 250 to 200, and they reduced max reserves from 384 to 300. Reduced the impact damage from the point blank projectile by 50%, increased hipfire projectile damage against players by 10%, now starts with 7 ammo in Crucible and gains 7 from crates and ammo bricks. Honestly, guys, I think it's still going to be incredible. Like, the point blank stuff was nerfed, but it still cranks even out of point blank range. So again, I think it's still going to be cracked. Then for the Huckleberry, it now fully reloads on kills, replaced the Catalyst with kinetic tremors. The Huckleberry now gets kinetic tremors. That's kind of crazy. The Teraba. While Ravenous Beast is active, you gain damage resistance against incoming solar damage, 50% versus combatants, 15% versus players. So now the Teraba is kind of like the solar version of the Risk Runner? That's kind of crazy. Now, for Symmetry, it now gains a stack of dynamic charge on kills in addition to precision hits. The Duality on Black Wings stacks for max effect reduced from 5 to 3, extended duration of the buff from 7 seconds to 10 seconds. The Bad Juju, they're going to be increasing the lifetime of String of Curses from 3.5 seconds base to 5.5 seconds base, 7.5 seconds with the Catalyst, and they've increased the mag size from 27 to 36. And they also say this weapon appears to have become more haunted than it used to be. What the heck? But next up, we have the X-Dirus, which remember is a grenade launcher, so it could be kind of cracked this upcoming season. So first of all, they've increased the direct damage versus combatants by 33%. That is a huge buff. Then they've adjusted the recoil and projectile to have a much flatter trajectory by doing the following. And you can see they've reduced the camera roll, they've increased the projectile velocity, reduced projectile gravity, so it's just going to shoot straighter, it's going to be more accurate. Now it has +5 ammo in reserves, and it spawns a moth on 2 direct hits, and they've reduced the moth cooldown from 4 seconds to 3 seconds, shared with the kill trigger. Guys, that is some significant buffs, especially spawning that moth with not having to get a kill, just 2 direct hits. Guys, remember, the moth will fly out autonomously and blind enemies and damage enemies when it explodes. And again, if you're going to be, weakening, if you're going to be doing all this stuff with the X-Dirus, 1 single kill, every kill will get you amplified if you have the Catalyst. This could actually be good next season. Speaking of good next season and grenade launchers and so on, the Fighting Lion, it now spawns a volatile burst on direct hits. Are you kidding me? That is insane. The Fighting Lion, remember, uses primary ammo, infinite ammo. Now it's going to make every single enemy you direct hit volatile. That is crazy good. Next up, the Prospector. So it now spawns 3 powerful cluster bombs on detonation, dealing substantially more damage per shot over a much larger area than previously. They've removed the sticky grenade, flame grenade, and remote detonation function. The mag size has been reduced to 6. Bonus ammo reserves on the Catalyst change to +50 reload speed. So, again, the Prospector is really interesting because it's a heavy grenade launcher that actually shoots faster than every other grenade launcher. It's the only, aggressive frame, I think it was called, grenade launcher left in the game. It shoots even faster than rapid fire frames. So now changing the way it works could be really interesting. Moving on from there, the Chaperone added the ability to trigger Roadborne on 2 rapid precision hits. The precision hits with Roadborne active also extend it by 3 seconds, +20 stability, +25% reload speed with Roadborne active, and increased ammo reserves. Then the Lumina updated the hipfire projectiles to behave more closely to the support auto rifle healing shots. Then guys, we have the weapon perks changes. So for Slice, it now correctly works in the Crucible. For Slideways, it can now be refreshed if you slide again following the completion of the initial slide. For Alloy Mag, it now increases reload speed when the magazine is near empty, so actually kind of a big buff there. Then for Auto Loading Holster, increase time to reload by 1 second for both base and enhanced. For Reconstruction, increased time to start reloading by 2 seconds for both base and enhanced. Definitely some nerfs there. For Master of Arms, can now stack up to ×2. ×1 grants 15% damage for 7 seconds, which it kind of does right now. ×2 grants 25% damage for 4 seconds and drops back to ×1 when the timer expires. That's actually a pretty big buff. Then for the Dawning Origin trait, they've removed the time limit between kills, now requires kills in a life instead of rapid succession. Then for Iron Reach, Iron Gaze, and Iron Grip, they've reduced the downside of the stat penalties from -30 to -20 at base and -25 to -15 for the enhanced. So all of those provide some massive stat bonuses. Now they have way less of a downside. Moving on from there, we have some brand new weapon mods arriving with Revenant, and importantly, they say added several new weapon mods. These can be equipped on enhanced or crafted weapons, so I guess you can't equip them on just random normal weapons that aren't enhanced or crafted. Anyways, they have combo stat mod, so it's bundles of 2 stats, +6/+6. So ballistics, you have the ballistics mod. It increases range and stability both by +6. Tactical increases reload and handling. Aerodynamics increases blast radius and projectile speed. Tension, draw time and accuracy. And edge, guard rate and guard resistance. So that's pretty interesting. Then they have anti-flinch, a 15% flinch reduction. That could be very, very good in PvP. Then they have ammo finder enhancement. So they have special finder enhancements. Progresses roughly 10% faster per kill with this weapon. And heavy finder enhancement. Progresses roughly 10% faster per kill with this enhancement. That's pretty darn important because, you know, that's finally going to compete with an increase to mag size being the absolute backup mag being the best PvE mod right now. Now these are actually pretty good. Like if you want to keep a heavy ammo weapon or a special ammo weapon fed, these mods are actually pretty good. Then you have an optics mod, allows customization of weapon zoom. Wow, so with marksman optics, sniper rifle, linear fusion rifle, scout rifle, bow, machine gun, trace rifle, and rocket launcher, marksman optics, a high, add +2 zoom, and low, have -2 zoom. That's super interesting. Messing around with the zoom has caused some crazy things in the past. So, hey, you get a high zoom scope, you could put on the mod to reduce it. Then you have the CQC optics version of this mod for all these other weapon types, and that is going to have the high with only +1 zoom and the low with only -1 zoom. Then you have Synergy, escalating chance to spawn a subclass bauble matching this weapon's damage type. Kinetic weapons spawn an orb of power instead. And does that mean if you're using a strand weapon, it can actually now spawn tangles with the mod? That could be very useful. Then for Stun Loader, partially refills this weapon's magazine on stunning a champion. That's pretty interesting as well. Then they have thoughts on the future. With Revenant in the bag, we're looking ahead to episode Heresy and beyond. We have some great changes upcoming, including significant updates to glaives, a particularly underutilized heavy ammo sniper, obviously the Darcy, and even aggressive frame fusion rifles. Further down the line, we have big plans for wide changes to the overall ammo economy, including more determinism and build crafting options. Then we have a preview of some of the new gear coming with Revenant. So this is the Hunting Scorn with new gear. So this is kind of like the main seasonal weapons you are going to be earning. So they all share the same origin trait called Dark Ether Harvest. Their perks can be enhanced, and during Act 1, you'll have the following 7 available, and there are some redacted perks that they want you to find out about. So, for the Void Precision Frame Sidearm, the Insurmountable, Column 3, redacted, and it has Repulsor Brace, To the Pain, Threat Detector. I'm just going to leave all of these up instead of going over literally all of them, guys, but some ones I want to shout out for sure, guys. First of all, the very bottom one is the Stasis Double Fire Grenade Launcher, and that can actually get Chill Clip. So what that means is that you're shooting 2 projectiles at once with Chill Clip, which means if you direct impact them both and they fly pretty close together, you get an instant freeze, right? Because you're getting 2 Chill Clip hits at the same time. That could be incredibly powerful. But very importantly, with these weapons, they are not going to be craftable. And Bungie actually has an update on the seasonal weapon crafting. So they say, in our Developer Insight Core Game Rewards article, we briefly discussed the future of weapon crafting. While those changes are months away and we are not ready to share them in detail yet, we can comment on the new direction we are moving towards with Revenant. As we looked back at Into the Light, we believe that part of its success was the chase for the Brave Arsenal weapons, with the attunement system helping to focus that pursuit. We want to move more towards that experience, so starting in Revenant, these seasonal weapons will not be craftable. Perks can still be enhanced using extra materials, and there will be updates to unlock as you play the episode to target specific weapons, and even get extra perks per columns. We believe the activities and episodes work better when built around the gear chase, rewarding you with more than other activities and unlocking improvements like vendor focusing to help you get your desired roles, or even the option to get more perks in a given column. Crafting will remain a way for players to get that role they desire, and it's not going away, as you can see below. We're going to talk about that in a sec. But for some time, the value of individual weapon drops in that god roll pursuit has been replaced, if not nullified, by whether or not they dropped with Deep Sight activated. We hope this change will revitalize the passion to hunt down new weapons. This is going to be a controversial topic for sure, but overall, I have to agree with them with that basis. Like, you do not care at all about a god roll drop on a craftable weapon. You just want to see that red border, right? So I think having some weapons remain craftable, being able to deterministically get weapons god rolls, because oh my goodness, the good news about crafting is that it removed a lot of the BS behind RNG, where you would just be getting the same weapon over and over and over, hundreds of drops with no protection. But now introducing stuff like focusing and multiple perks, that's going to offset that problem as well, guys. So overall, for the health of the game, this could be really good. And if it doesn't work out, if players hate it, they can always move back towards crafting. So I'm interested to see how this really works out. Now, speaking of weapon crafting, guys, we are getting a bunch of craftable weapons, and it's the Reprised Garden of Salvation weapons. This kind of came out of nowhere. They're saying, while seasonal weapons return more towards a focus on the chase, we still want to reward invested players with great weapons that can be crafted. That's why we are reprising the Garden of Salvation weapons with new perks and a new element, even in some cases, of a certain hand cannon. We believe that the frictioned nature of the rotator and the revamped content are more closely aligned with our goals for weapon crafting. So get ready to jump back in to the raid, and don't forget to visit Hawthorne at the tower, as she will offer a quest that grants a deep sight version of a weapon every single week. Here's a preview of the returning weapons. We have highlighted some very unique perk combos we think you might find intriguing, to say the least. Wow. This is exactly what they did with the Last Wish raid recently. They made all of the weapons craftable, they updated their roles, and stuff like the Apex Predator, that's still one of the best weapons in the game, guys. So these weapons could be absolutely cracked starting in Revenant, and oh my goodness, the Garden of Salvation LFG post just went up by 10,000% next season. So for the Reckless Oracle, again, they're highlighting certain roles it can now get. Destabilizing rounds plus paracausal affinity. For the Accrued Redemption, which is a kinetic precision compound bow, offhand strike plus Archer's Gambit. For the Zealot's Reward, which is a void rapid fire fusion rifle, it can get destabilizing rounds plus reservoir burst. For the Ancient Gospel, void adaptive hand cannon, it can actually, it can get rampage and kill clip at the same time. That's pretty sick. For the Sacred Providence, the kinetic aggressive pulse rifle, which is overall like one of the best weapons from that raid, it can now get Demolitionist plus kinetic tremors. That could be decent. For the Prophet of Doom, which is the arc precision shotgun, it can get threat remover and volt shot. For the Omniscient Eye, the solar rapid fire sniper rifle, it can get 4th times plus precision instrument, which is actually not bad. Most of these rolls, I'm going to be honest, don't sound that amazing, but Bungie has a habit of not knowing what roles are really, really bad. Have you seen what they tweet out? So I would say that this is just a small preview of some of the perks they can get. There's going to be way more combos. So again, really excited to see what those combos are. And again, making them craftable is crazy. Moving on from there, guys, they have even more weapons showing this picture right here. So they say, let's keep this going. You already had a nice preview of what weapons are coming to trials. So here are some of the other weapons being added. So for Pursuit, the Fair Judgment Stasis Precision Auto Rifle. For the Crucible, they're adding the Anonymous Autumn and Arc Lightweight Sidearm. For a Competitive, Deadlock Stasis Precision Frame Shotgun. Then for Vanguard Ops, the Wicked Sister and a Strand Adaptive Grenade Launcher. For the Nightfalls, they're adding the Rake Angle, a Stasis Aggressive Glaive, and the Plug +1 is coming back, which is an Arc Precision Fusion Rifle. And for Gambit, the Bygones Kinetic Adaptive Pulse Rifle is coming back. Absolutely iconic weapon, to be honest. And of course, there's going to be even more weapons coming in the brand new dungeon, which they're not talking about right now. Then we have new Iron Banner armor and weapons inbound. So here is the 3 new sets of Iron Banner armor, guys. Actually look pretty sick. Then we have some new weapons here. First of all, the Tanisha's Mastery, which is a Stasis Rocket Frame Sidearm. Another Rocket Frame Sidearm. Stasis, which again is going to be huge next season. Column 3, Air Trigger, Offense Strike, Deconstruct, Enlightened Action, Impulse Amplifier, Loose Change, Reverberation. Column 4, Adagio, Bait and Switch, Chill Clip, Desperate Measures, Frenzy, One for All Surrounded. Honestly, a Rocket Frame Sidearm with Chill Clip is actually great. Like, that could be nuts next season. Then the Archon's Thunder is coming back as well, which is a Stasis High Impact Machine Gun. Column 3, Air Trigger, Enlightened Action, Redacted, Dynamic Sway Reduction, Envious, 4th times High Impact Reserves. Column 4, Desperate Measures, Onslaught, Headstone, Killing Tally, Tap the Trigger, Target Lock, and Rewind Rounds. Rewind Rounds in the 4th column plus 4th times could actually be crazy. After that, they're fixing some weapon ornaments. And I'm just going to let you guys read that if you want to. They show an example right here about changing a Cold Heart ornament, and I can barely tell the difference, but apparently it's, I don't know, who cares? Anyways, the Inverted Spire. That's right, the Inverted Spire, long since taken from the game. It's going to be back. It's going to be harder than ever. They're going to do the same thing with this that they've done with all the other strikes that they've taken away and added back, where way more enemies, takes longer, more objectives. So, yeah, so much for speedrunning that. Anyways, guys, we're going to end here with their first ever Discord quest, if you guys want to do that. And also, there is some Hurricane Helene support that you guys can donate to as well. Of course, the TWAB is going to be linked in the description of this video if you want to head over there and do that. And finally, guys, we're going to end here with, first of all, the big update next Monday. You can see the timeline for when Destiny 2 is being brought offline and all that stuff. But also, they say claim your seasonal rewards. So make sure to claim the expiring rewards before they're gone. And they say seasonal pass items, vendor rewards, all this stuff. Now, most of these are pretty normal, but the seasons pass items kind of concern me. So normally you can leave your seasons pass items and they become claimable as a previous season items on Bungie.net. So the fact that they're here, maybe that's not happening anymore with how they've changed the season pass, broken up into 3 parts. I'm definitely going to try to get some clarification on Twitter, but just keep that in mind, guys. I would say definitely claim the more valuable stuff, but for like random legendary engrams and legendary armor rewards that you don't really care about, you may want to still save that stuff because it can be used to help you level next season. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.